Tupac was jailed and treated way worse for far less. So if you live under a rock and you don't know, the Diddy trial came to a verdict last night. I was going to rush out there and give my opinion yesterday, but I decided to sleep on it, come up with a more concrete and a more well thought out opinion. And that's why I'm here today. So first thing first, I will admit, I avoided this trial because I believe that there is no winner when talking about this trial. I believe that this is a trick bag. This is something the media pushed in order to divide and to distract us. Because what I noticed is the far left and the far right had the same opinion. They just went about it differently. And because they know that they can never come together and agree on things, they stay far away from each other, even though they both, far left and the far right, wanted to see Diddy go to jail. And that's when I started to know that, okay, the only beneficiaries of me talking about this will be the dominant society, the haters, the naysayers, the people that are looking to just cancel you for your opinion. So I stayed away from it. Far left took their approach of, we want to see Diddy go to jail, believe women, men with power, for Me Too, your time is up. They went with that thing. They wanted to see Diddy go to jail. But the far right went with the same narrative, just went about it differently. The far right went with like the QAnon conspiracy, Hollywood, they're doing weird stuff. The Obamas, Oprah, Bill Gates, Jay-Z, Beyonce, oh my God, LeBron, they're all eating, they're all doing weird stuff and child and all these different things. That's what they went about. They were on the same side of the aisle. And then the other aisle was mixed as well. You had some people from the far right and the far left that were like, man, well, one, the far left was like, yo, black people are unjustly treated, unfairly treated, and they're being demonized and over sentenced and over policed. And then you had far rights that were like, man, men are under attack, men with power are under attack, the system is witch hunting, anybody that this, anybody that. So you had different political ideologies on different sides of the aisle and on the same side at the aisle at the same time. It was weird to me. Of course, you had the Diddy fans that wanted him to be free. That's when I knew, oh wow, the media cooked up a good one. The system cooked up a good one to divide us and to distract us. Of course, I want to say prayers and love and support to the victims. My love and my heart and my energy is with you. I hope you find peace and you find solace in all of this, because at the end of the day, the victim always gets lost in this. The victims, the people that are hurt the most, always gets lost in this because people want to push their agendas, people want to push this or push their narratives or whatever. So, that's where my heart lies and that's where I'm at. But, yesterday when the verdict came through, the first thing I could think about was Tupac.
It was good. She said that, not me. Now, why am I going to force her? I mean, this is common sense. But no matter what happens, innocent or guilty, my life is ruined.
Because Tupac was treated so poorly when it came to his case. Same thing with Mike Tyson when it came to his case. Same thing with Michael Jackson. It was funny. The 90s, they were trying to get rid of him. That's a different story for a different day. But when I look at Pac and I look at the way he was treated, the way he was pushed for way less, and how he was sitting out in front of that courtroom trying to defend himself.
I'm guilty of a lot of things. I'm guilty probably of being a male chauvinist pig. I'm guilty of not spending enough time with people like I should, but I'm not guilty of just because I don't want to be with that girl don't mean that she has the right to say that I did all of these things that I didn't do.
How angry, how upset, and how hurt he felt because he knew the system was railroading him.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video.
To me, that shows what the difference. Diddy's not a threat to the power structure. Regardless if he's in jail or he's out, he's not a threat to the power structure, because at the end of the day, Diddy, his whole career, his whole life, a lot of people like, he wanted to buy Diageo. That's the reason why they came after him. He wanted to buy Diageo. Whatever, cool. At the end of the day, Diddy throughout his entire career, throughout his entire life, has not been a threat to white supremacy. He has not been a threat to the dominant society. He's been a component of it, pushing Ciroc and the luxury lifestyle. To me, it's like, dang, when Pac passed away, everything he said was going to happen. I made a video about it. It's right here. Tupac was right about everything, to where a lot of the music changed, right? You started getting into that real poppy era, to where early 2000s, late 90s. If you look at the lifestyle that Diddy has sold to the people, it's one that benefits the dominant society. So yeah, it makes sense to me that it seemed as though Diddy was even treated fairly within the media. Personally, to me, it seems as though he was treated fairly. Now, of course, they have millions and billions of documentaries, but it didn't seem to me, looking at Tupac's life and his legacy, it seems to me they try their hardest to mess up Tupac's life as best as possible. Like, even Tupac's movie was terrible, right? If you look at all the people around him, from Death Row to this person to that person, it seems as though everybody tries to go out their way to try to discredit Tupac no matter what it is. But a guy like Diddy, people try to move the goalposts in order to defend him. And that's because he's not a threat. They made sure they made an example out of Pac. Pac was made an example out of something that he clearly didn't do.
And it's bigger than, they're making it so big now. Even the charges and what they're saying, it's bigger than who I am now. So,
but because he was the name, because he was the face, they made an example of him.
I mean, the way this country is successful is if we have one set of rules and everybody follows them. If anybody gets outside of that set of rules and they're in the public view like I am, it's like detrimental to everybody following the rules.
But Tupac was a threat to society. Malcolm X, threat to society. Martin Luther King, a threat to society. Martin Luther King was killed for a reason. Malcolm X was killed for a reason. Fred Hampton, these people were killed for a reason. They kill you. If they can't kill you physically, they kill you. Character assassination. I have yet to see a character assassination of Diddy. Same thing with Vince McMahon. If you look at the way they treated Vince McMahon, I have yet to see a character assassination of Vince McMahon. Same thing with Hulk Hogan. With us, we're going to get beat down forever. And I still have yet to see that Diddy beat down. You feel me? Like they still beating down Chris Brown. R. Kelly in prison already. They still beating him down. They went into the graveyard and got Michael Jackson out the graveyard to beat him up. And still, I don't see as much of that on Diddy. Though they've been really nice to Diddy, and that's just me personally. But when somebody is a threat to the power structure, when somebody's a threat to white supremacy, they're gonna make an example out of him. So to me, that's kind of how I summed it up. Was like, oh yeah, Diddy's not a threat to the power structure, so yeah, it makes sense that he'd be free. He has money, right? When you have money and you're not a threat to the power structure, you good. Because if you have money and you're a threat to a power structure, they'll make an example out of you. We've seen it time and time and time again. So for me personally, I know a lot of people were like, man, he tried to buy Diageo. They tried the same thing. Oh, he tried to buy NBC. It's crazy when we live in a world where you feel as though when a black person or a black man or the woman tries to get ownership, that like there's a group of people that's trying to stop you. It's crazy that we just accept that. Not true. I think Diddy just has. I think a lot of Diddy's problems got out in the street. I think there was a lot of people that knew about what he was going on, what he was doing, and they just looked the other way because he wasn't a threat to the power structure, right? I think a lot of people knew what Diddy was going on, but he wasn't a threat, right? As soon as you start becoming a threat to the power structure, then things start happening to you. But if you look at the way Pac was treated, and Pac still is treated throughout his career, Trump and Diddy getting the soft gloves. They barely getting touched. They barely get touched. They get treated like Tom Brady. They getting treated like Tom Brady in the NFL. No sacks. So for me, this just shows me that when you're not a threat to a power structure, you good.
To what they think is that I represent lawlessness and the outlaw mentality, and I represent that thug mentality from the street.
And Tupac got done way dirty for way less.
So they feel like if they can punish me, then it'll punish people who are not as brave as I am, who don't speak out against things like me, who not scared to walk through the streets with no bodyguard. See, they need to put me in jail. These other guys, they don't have to put in jail.
But that's just my opinion, man. The whole Diddy thing is sad. It's sad to see another black man, another black mogul legacy tarnished. I hate that he's been a willing participant in tarnishing his legacy, knowing, that they love that. The media loves that. So that's also, it sucked to see a lot of the women who attached themselves to this case that feel as though their voices aren't going to get heard. A lot of the young girls, this is the optics are bad for young girls. The optics are bad for women in general. And, my heart and my prayers go out to the victim. To me, prison time just sounds like taxpayer money, right? So when it comes to prison time, I'm very funny about it because I'm an actual person that believes in corrections. You send somebody to corrections, you're supposed to be correcting them to make them a better citizen in society. You're not supposed to, when you got privatized prisons and you got money involved, people are gonna prey on these people. After a while, when you be in prison, then you become a vic, right? They're charging you to go to the bathroom, they charge you to pee, they charge you to talk on the phone, they charge you for food, right? And then a lot of times people be innocent, right? So I'm not always the let's send in a jail person. I really want to come up with a solution. How do we figure this out? because Diddy has enough money and time to figure it out. But for everybody else, right, for the people that attach themselves to this case, how do we move forward and how do we do better? And so that's usually what I'm about personally. But like I said, I don't think there's no winners when you talk about this case. I'm happy it's over. No amount of jail time is going to fix a person. You really gotta, if you really care about the victims and you really want to stop this from happening again, we really got to show a path to corrections. Because there's no path to corrections, it will never be corrected. And that's just my opinion personally. Like I said, you know, I'm not here to be right. I'm just here to be me. I'm just here to give my opinion. Do I want Diddy to spend 20 years in prison? No. Do I think he deserves 20? No. Taxpayer dollars. We taking that tax. We taking that cut. To put a man in prison like that for 20 years is crazy. Now, if we could put him in prison, he spent his money, use his money to I'm with that. I think rich people need to. That's how rich people need to get punished. If you go to jail, you're spending your money. All of this just makes me think about Pac and how Pac was treated. When you're not a threat to the system, when you're not a threat to the dominant society, when you're not a threat to the system, this is what happens. I don't think he's going to get 20 years in prison. I think he may get 4 or 5, maybe even time served. Well, who knows? We'll see. You know, we shall see. I feel as though Trump being president and the Republican energy around the government right now is probably why he won't do too much time, because I'm pretty sure there's plenty of politicians and plenty of lawmakers and judges and celebrities who pay for women to come to their house, fly them out, and engage in different type of acts. But, you know, let me know your opinion in the comment section. I may be totally off base with this, but to me, it just seemed like a distraction to get people to focus on something other than their elected officials and their politicians. Elon Musk and Trump, they were really beefing like a couple of weeks ago, and it's kind of like we skated past that Diddy trial, you know. So that's just me personally. Again, I stand with victims. I stand with women. I stand with people who falsely accused. There's a lot of stuff that be going on, and I just want to send my support to them. But man, oh man, the way they did Pac, it's just all anything Diddy just reminds me of Pac, and it's like, man, that man was so right about just the direction hip hop will go in and the direction the world will go in if we just fell into our wants and our desires. But Diddy, no Rico. Black men are 2 for 2 when it comes to Ricos this year. Kind of crazy, but you let me know how you feeling in the comment section. Comment, like, subscribe, ring that notification bell so you can be notified whenever I release a video. Leave me your thoughts in the comment section. Donate to this Cash App if you want to help the mission over here and donate. I appreciate that. The best way to help and support and to donate to this channel is to become a member. Link is in the description. You join, you become a member, join the Good Readers Club, get all these different type of perks, get amazing content like this early. Hey, your boy's out of here. Let me know how you feel in the comment section. Diddy did not catch a Rico. Peace.
The only way I've been practicing my whole life to live my life is to be responsible for what I do. I don't know how to be responsible for what every black male did. I don't know. Yes, I am going to say that I'm a thug. That's because I came from the gutter and I'm still here.